What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Amped Up Show, Friday, the 7th of November of the year 2025. We're going to talk some Randy Orton coming up later in the show. No cookie cutter convo. We're not just going to talk, oh, where's Orton been? Why isn't he wrestling as much? No, we're going to take a deep dive into the discussion. We're going to talk why Randy Orton doesn't feel special anymore. We're going to talk why Randy Orton's booking has been so damn bad for so damn long. And yes, we are going to talk the comment that Randy Orton's wife made about a month ago, which was a clear indication that there is a rift between Helmsley and Orton. And BC is going to tell you what needs to be done by WrestleMania 42 for Helmsley to right the wrongs of doing Randy Orton so damn dirty. We'll talk about it. It's coming up in today's Amped Up. Can't wait to get to that discussion. But we have to kick off with a little bit of Karrion Kross, Scarlet Bordeaux. That's one of the biggest topics in the pro wrestling world today. And this stems off of a big interview that Vince Russo and John Coachman, you guys remember the Coach? They have a show, I guess, on this platform. Coach and Bro, I believe, is the name of their show. And they were able to land Karrion Kross and Scarlet Bordeaux. And anytime that these two are going to talk pro wrestling, talk shop, you make time to listen. Because you know you're not just going to get transparency in full. You're going to get amplified honesty from these two. There's no holding back. You're going to get their honest feelings on everything asked of them. So what I would like to do is go over some of this interview and give you some amplified honesty on what was discussed. And most of this, damn near all of it, if you listen to this channel, you already knew the answers to the questions asked. You already knew what went down behind the scenes. It was pretty obvious, clear as day. Logic and common sense led you to all the answers you would need as to why Kross and Scarlett are no longer under WWE contracts. Hunter Hearst Helmsley didn't want them there. That's it. If he wanted you there, you would have been there. If he doesn't want you there, you are not there. Bottom line. Doesn't matter if it's a Bob Lashley or Karrion Kross. Doesn't matter if it's R-Truth, him being the only exception because the backlash was so massive. Nick Khan had to tell Hunter Hearst Helmsley, dude, we're bringing him back. But it doesn't matter. If he doesn't want you there, you're not going to be there. He'll move mountains to make sure you're there. He will go to Nick Khan, his good buddy, and tell him, I don't care what we have to do. I need this guy on the roster. Bottom line. Some, quote, fans believe that Helmsley is just, he's at the becking call of TKO, and if they say somebody has to go, his hands are tied. They have to go. It doesn't work that way. They can tell you they have to cut this amount of money, and then they tell Helmsley, your call, man. Whoever you can do without, let us know. That's how it works. So you already knew why Karrion Kross and Scarlett are not with the company, because Helmsley doesn't want them there. Why? Because they got over on their own. Why? Because they remind Helmsley of when he was back in his heyday. He used to do all the cool entrances with his girl beside him, but his days are over. And now here's Karrion and Scarlett, and they do it even better. Helmsley cannot have that. So, of course, they're not with the company anymore. Nobody that any fan in the 18 to 49 demo has been asking for. That we are interested, right? The 18 to 49 demo has been calling for a better push for LA Knight. A better push for Karrion Kross. R-Truth, even. We said, dude, you got to give him a legit push without the comedy shtick. If you're going to tease Ron Killings, go with something creative. Let's really try this. Everybody that was within the 18 to 49 demo, Helmsley has no-sold. He's flipped you off. He's told you to fuck off. And instead, he pushes Jason Yeaterman because the kids can gather around and dance like they're at a Chuck E. Cheese. It'll impress that 5 to 12 demo. Sami Zayn, right? There's little Sammy. He's always smiling and he's doing his little dance to the ring. And it's the true underdog story. When everybody's telling you you can't, you say, yes, I can. So they took a dude that we were all saying we want to see good booking for, Karrion Kross, and all he did for months was tell Sammy backstage, you're never going to win the big one, Sammy. You're never going to win the big one, Sammy. That's how you utilize Karrion Kross when you know so much of the 18 to 49 demo is going, dude, book this guy. No. We got to do Sami Zayn. The 5 to 12 demo can really get behind Sam Zayn. LA Knight, 18 to 49 demo was going, dude, this guy is sitting in your lap. What are you doing, man? This was organic. He's getting over on his own without the machine backing him. That's what you can't do, by the way. I love how they talked about this in this interview. Vince Russo asking many times about that. Don't you feel like you got over on your own? That was your biggest mistake. Because Helmsley can't stand that. They talked in this interview about how wrestlers had told Vince McMahon, Vince Russo. I think one of them was like Ryback, who literally said he was told by Helmsley directly that nobody will be bigger than the company going forward. There'll never be another John Cena. That was a quote. Then you see it play out in real time, right? The show Unreal on Netflix, where Helmsley pulls Jey Uso aside. At a time where everybody was thinking, is LA Knight going to actually pull this off? Are they going to finally put that rocket on LA Knight? And what does Paul Levesque McMahon do? You see it on the show Unreal. He tells Uso, because the kids like to eat with him, he said, we're gonna put the rocket on you. You hear me? We're putting the whole rocket on you. Wait, what do you mean you're putting the whole? That's not who everybody's asking. I mean, they could dance and sing along for 20 minutes every Monday and yeet in the mid-card. But ain't nobody trying to see Jey Uso in the main event, bro. What are you doing? We're telling you, that's the guy right there. The fans are telling you. You can't go wrong. LA Knight. And no joke, and he actually recorded this for the show Netflix's Unreal. Like a doofus son-in-law that he is, he thought that was going to be a good thing. Came back to bite him in the ass. We're all asking for this dude. We want to see more from that guy. Book him properly. We think there's something there. And instead, Helmsley goes, we're going to put the rocket on you, tag team twin Uso. Just keep eating your ass off. I'll keep giving you 20 minutes every Monday. And what happened? A full year went by. A full year. And this dude, Jey Uso, is part of some of the most disliked uploads on WWE's page. It failed. They had to take the title off him 2 months after he won it. The ratings have dropped to massive lows in the Uso era. It backfired. Anybody could have told you that. You're booking for Chuck E. Cheese. You're not booking for the 18 to 49 demo. That's a mistake. But LA Knight made the cardinal sin of getting himself over. Karrion Kross, and I love how they mentioned this several times in this interview. Karrion Kross made the mistake of getting himself over. Helmsley cannot stand that. He cannot stand when the 18 to 49 demo is saying we want to see more of this person. He feels you're trying to book for him and he's got to be the guy in charge. Remember when he flew in the same show, Unreal, on Netflix? He flew into his meeting while all the writers were working all week, and he comes in and he says, who do you guys got winning the Rumble? And they all said CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, right? They could have went LA Knight, but they played it safe. No problem. It's either going to be Cena or Punk, right? The wild card that would have made sense would have been LA Knight, but that's fine. CM Punk, John Cena, you can't go wrong. And Helmsley just couldn't leave it at that. He didn't want Punk winning that. He didn't want Punk winning the Royal Rumble, just like he would never allow Punk to win a world title at WrestleMania. There's no way that was ever going to happen. So he goes, what about Jay Uso? And the whole writing staff is like, you got jet lag, man? How long have you been flying to get over here? That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley in a nutshell, man. LA Knight, Karrion Kross, all got over on their own. R-Truth, guy got booted by Hunter Hearst Helmsley, right? Decided not to renew his contract. Who do you think is the final decision, guys? TKO handles the financials, so they say we're going to cut this amount of money. So Helmsley gets the final decision. That's how this works. He's the chief of creative and content. So he tells Nick Khan, Shapiro, all of them, this is who I cannot do without. This is who I can do without. This is who I am more than willing to Das Boot. And after everything R-Truth gave this company, Helmsley decided, I can easily do without him. Kick him to the curb. And there was massive backlash. Nick Khan had to tell Helmsley he's coming back. So here's Ron Killings. Now, there was all this momentum in the world from the 18 to 49 demo, right? The 18 to 49 was like, dude, this is going to be fun. You could do like an Authority R-Truth storyline, Ron Killings, or you could just let Ron Killings unleashed. But let's just hope they have a really good creative plan, because this could be fun. And what did they do? They stuffed him in the Cena Punk quote story as a third wheel. And a couple weeks later, he was put in catering for 2 full months. And when he came out, this past Monday, he's dressed as Santa Claus, trying to make you giggle backstage. The guy with all the momentum in the world, organically, there's that word again. Helmsley can't stand it. How do you cool him off? Sit him at catering. He put R-Truth in catering for 2 months and then put him in a Santa Claus outfit. Do you guys remember how hot R-Truth was in the wrestling world over the summer? Now, even if you want to say, well, BC, I don't know if he would ever been the guy, but don't you at least agree he should have gotten something big? They never even tried. He was sabotaged on purpose, guys. He was sat in catering. Nobody can get hot if you're not doing anything. Karrion Kross. There were people that were taking over the press conference that Hunter Hearst Helmsley was speaking on. There was and they mentioned it in this interview. I think it was John Coachman said it made him furious to hear Helmsley respond to the fans that were yelling, Kross, Kross, Kross. And he goes, Brock? You want Brock? Yeah, I gave you Brock. And he did it on purpose. Even though he's an old man now, Helmsley knew exactly what they were saying, but he was being his smug self. Knowing the fans want Kross. So what did he do? He had Kross for months sit backstage and tell Sam Zayn, you're never going to win the big one. And then he finally gave him some TV matches. All losses to Sam Zayn. And then told, we're not renewing your contract. And they made it look like Karrion Kross was just, he was turning the offer down. But they lowballed him so much that there was no alternative. They've even said many times in this interview, even, they're making so much more on the indies, it's almost an insult what they were offered. And they had to have known how they were going to be booked if they did accept the offer. So this was Helmsley letting it be known clear as day, we don't need you, we don't want you. But the fans wanted them. And that's even more reason Helmsley didn't want them. You guys see a trend here? R-Truth sits at catering for months while he's white lightning hot. Karrion Kross, at his peak with the fans, is at his lowest creatively. And they just keep him backstage. And they keep him racking L's when he is on TV. LA Knight kept off all these top shows. LA Knight losing all these big matches, any world title match he's in, Money in the Bank matches, Royal Rumbles, even a Battle Royal a couple of weeks ago, losing everything when he is used. All these dudes have something in common. The 18 to 49 demo over the last year to 2 years, for LA Knight even longer, we've been clamoring to see more because we know there's so much untapped potential. storyline-wise, creatively, and in all situations, Helmsley has kiboshed it, has told us to fuck off. Cool. You don't know what you want. We're going to give you Jey Uso and you're going to yeet and like it. You're going to take Sami Zayn's underdog Rocky story every single week, every month, year after year, and you're not going to get nauseous. You're not going to tell us you don't like it. You're going to accept Sami Zayn winning the title at WrestleMania 42, or maybe we save it for Saudi. You don't need Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. We're going to give you Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. And I like them two together, by the way. Just like I like Seth Rollins and Becky together. I like those mix-ups, especially if it's IRL, and they can mix up with their significant other, but I think you can do so much with it, and it works. Same thing with Scarlett and Karrion. But they brought up in this interview, I think it was Vince Russo again, the only one with the balls to say it. He said, I don't know how you feel about Aleister and Zelina, but it just feels to me, why would you rock the B team when you already had the A team sitting in your lap? And Karrion and Scarlett just tried to be so nice about it. But you could see on their face, they were kind of like, yeah, I don't, that's Helmsley. We didn't kiss Helmsley's ass. We're not necessarily part of that NXT tight-knit group. He was good to us in NXT. I thought the relationship was fine in NXT, they said about Helmsley. But we were never truly like his kids. We didn't look at him as Papa H. So they mentioned Zelina and Aleister like the B team, and they were the A team, and that's what Helmsley's okay with. Because Helmsley looks at Aleister and Zelina as less of a problem. They're not going to ask questions. They're going to go along with whatever the machine tells them to do. And that's another thing I really liked about this interview, is they alluded to just that. Not alluded, they came straight out and said, Karrion Kross, you ain't working there right now because you ask questions. You don't go along with everything they're telling you to do. You actually care. You actually want to ascend. And you did it all organically. You got yourself over. That was something they said several times in this interview, and I love when we can just be honest. By now, you guys know that this channel is just based on just real talk. Real talk. I don't have time for the bullshittery, the cookie cutter tribalism. There's none of that shilling for a company. I don't have time for that. No, like literally I don't. So when we're talking pro wrestling and we're truly trying to make it great again, we have to be honest at all times about these situations, about these topics, when we talk these discussions and in these conversations. Honesty, man. That's what I liked about this interview. It was just real talk. And with Karrion and Scarlett, you're always going to get real talk. That's what I really admire about these two. It's probably why so much of the 18 to 49 demo wanted to see more of them, and why Helmsley said, you're no longer with the company. No. We said we want to see Karrion Kross. We were chanting his name while you were speaking at the press conference. And your response is to get rid of him? R-Truth can't wait for the day where they finally give him a push where he's more serious. What? You said you want him gone from the company? You got it. No, that's not what? We just said we don't want to see him constantly in this comedy shtick that he's been doing for years. LA Knight. We want to see more from LA Knight. What? You want to see less from You want Jey Uso, you said? Yes, we are yeeting. Even the Hurt Syndicate. For so long, fans were like, all right, can we get the Hurt business back? It ended prematurely with Vincent Kennedy. So we know MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin backstage, they were constantly trying to get Helmsley to agree to reignite the Hurt business. MVP already had some ideas. They can work together. And again, there was a lot of fans, BC included, that wanted to see that group one more time in WWE and actually get used properly. Because even though the booking wasn't that great with Vincent Kennedy, that group was getting over. They were actually badass. There was so much potential. But Helmsley told MVP, told Bobby Lashley, Shelton, said no time after time. MVP has already admitted that 100 times. He says in the future, at some point, he's going to speak on that even more, by the way. I can't wait for that. Because again, love transparency. Love real talk. But Helmsley just decided not to because the 18-49 demo really wanted to see more from the business. And it ain't just Bobby Lashley, man. Established stars that actually got over with the 18-49 demo, like Roman Reigns. And you look at how he's being booked today. It's gotta be internal sabotage. For years, they were forcing Roman Reigns down everybody's throat. But the 18-49 demo was just not buying into it. And then the bloodline situation happened. Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman with a really good storyline, the original bloodline storyline. And Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman hit a home run with that. And the 18-49 demo finally was looking at Roman Reigns like the star that the company always hoped he'd be. Helmsley gains control. Look at Roman Reigns, man. Look at how badly they have botched Roman Reigns. The Cody debacle. Roman was supposed to take on The Rock and how they handled Cody Rhodes, and that turned into a horrible situation. Look at this last year for Roman Reigns. You talk about irrelevant. Roman Reigns has lost everything that made him special during that whole original bloodline ascension. He's lost it all. Now he just comes back for a show or two, disappears for a couple months, comes back, we're all supposed to go bananas, say Roman has returned for the 1,416th time. It's not even special anymore. It's not even Roman returns anymore. It's just Roman shows up to work. And all he's doing is just going back and forth, brawling with Bronson Reed. You don't think Helmsley understands that this dude is tremendously cooled off? Oh yeah, when the music hits, the initial pop, yeah, no question. And then you know damn well, that same feeling, it's not there. John Cena in his retirement tour. You could not have booked this more horridly unless you were trying to sabotage it up front. He had to have done this on purpose. Travis Scott gives him the title? That's your big plan for Mania and you didn't think it was going to get panned? Brock Lesnar just attacks him for no reason and they have a match. We still never got an explanation or a reason. AJ Styles has a match with him and Styles says we don't need a story on live Monday Night Raw. He says we don't need a story. And now here we are with a tournament to decide Cena's last opponent. He's a heel. Everybody is panning it. He turns back face out of nowhere on a random SmackDown, just apologizes and turns face. I mean, you could not have booked this any worse. You would have to... You want to believe nobody on planet Earth is that stupid. It has to be done on purpose. You'd have to sabotage it on purpose. Because the only other explanation is Hunter Hearst Helmsley is literally that stupid. But it took years for John Cena to finally tap into that 18-49 demo. And in this last year, the 18-49 was really on board with this final year for Cena. BC included, and I've never been a big Cena supporter. But this year I was fully on board, or at least at the start. But as each week and month went on, wow, did it get bad. My point is, every single thing that the 18-49 demo jumps into, Helmsley will absolutely go out of his way to sabotage it. He's booking for babies and toddlers because he knows they're the only ones that won't ask questions. He can book, they'll accept it, ask no questions, on to the next town. So I'm all over with the thoughts on this interview with Karrion and Scarlett, but that's because I mean, it just gets you frustrated to know that WWE had these talents, and it's two more individuals that we really wanted to see more from. And numbnuts, the doofus son-in-law, knows we want to see more out of them and from them. So he makes sure that they're no longer with the company. And when Karrion Kross, he said this in many interviews, and he reiterated in this interview. He said, we were trying to get in touch with Helmsley nonstop. We couldn't talk to him. He wouldn't get back to us. We couldn't get through to him. That's on purpose, guys. If Helmsley wants to talk to you, he's going to make sure that it happens. There's obviously many lines of communication from the talent to Helmsley. Helmsley doesn't do anything during the days. He's always traveling to his next talk show, his next commercial, a UFC fight, a Pacers game, the White House, another voiceover, another commercial. He's never working. So he's got all the time in the world. But he didn't want to talk to Karrion because he knew what was happening. Karrion was getting Das Boot. Or at least an offer that there's no way Karrion could accept. Give him the least amount of money, so if he accepts, we can just have him backstage. Telling Sami Zayn for another year, you're never going to win the big win, Sami. Right, some of the high points in this interview, man. I love how, I think it was Vince Russo, talking about how Helmsley doesn't want him to be bigger than him. Like, Russo just asked him straight out, how do you feel about, like, maybe it was just Helmsley doesn't want you to be bigger than he was in the company, and he sees that you have the potential. And I love Karrion's response to that, right? Thinking of Helmsley making these decisions and sabotaging him because he doesn't want him to get to the level of Helmsley. And the response Karrion gave was great. He says, and I quote, I hope not. Just thinking of that fucking turns my stomach. And I love how Karrion yet again told the story, this time even more in depth, how he found out that his merch was top 3 consecutively, even top spot many times from Fanatics. So he had to tell WWE to start selling it because WWE was no selling the selling of the shirt. Why? Because this wasn't part of WWE's original plan. He was getting over on his own. We're not supposed to be selling Karrion Kross merch. He's not supposed to be over. That guy's a problem. He asks questions. He's creative. He actually wants to do better and be better in this company. We can't have that. So Karrion had to tell WWE, man, what are you guys doing? I mean, this is... And he had to bring in proof because WWE wasn't doing their own due diligence, wasn't doing their own research, their own homework. And again, this is on purpose because they had no plans for Karrion Kross. And they were just hoping that he would be dumb like everybody else and not do his own homework. Not look at his own numbers. So then he finally was able to have them sold at the shows. And it would sell out. And then it would sell out, right? And it would not be restocked at the shows. So they talked about Vince McMahon's rule was always you should never sell out. There should always be enough to be sold. So Vince, I love that, right? You think, oh, we sold out. That's a good thing. Vince was like, never sell out. That means you're leaving money on the table. There should always be enough. But they were never restocking Karrion Kross shirts. They never had enough. They either didn't have faith that Karrion Kross was even going to sell the X amount of shirts they had, or they just didn't care to. They didn't want to see his numbers go up. So, oops, 100 was sold. That's all we're going to distribute. But over here, we brought in 600 Cody Rhodes shirts. We have 1,000 Yeet shirts. And again, they talked about how there was never going to be a wrestler bigger than the company. Helmsley told talent that. And here we are years later, and there's not. They pump out everybody like a distribution assembly line over in NXT, the Performance Center. Everybody is just a mid-carder after a mid-carder. Everybody is so damn vanilla. Everybody has no charisma, no personality. It's just interchangeable wrestlers. And every single Monday and Friday, you get Wrestler A versus Wrestler B, and they're going to have a banger. And the simpletons that pay $10,000 a ticket will scream, "This is awesome!" And when somebody gets a title after being there just for 2 months, they'll get a "You deserve it" chant. And the wheel goes round and round of mediocrity. Everybody has lowered their standards into the abyss, while BC and much of that 18 to 49 is raising our standards. And I love how Karrion Kross used the words, and I quote, "strategic and gross," to describe his final negotiations with WWE. He just felt like it was off the whole time, like WWE was leading him more and more to the door with each talk. Couldn't get a hold of really Helmsley, so he was having all the people below him take care of Kross and Scarlett. What a douche. Strategic and gross are the words that Kross used. While the fans are going, "We want Kross, we want Kross, we want Kross," Helmsley was going, "I think they're saying get rid of Kross. Lowball them so that they don't take the offer." Kross asked questions, and he didn't accept or fall in line. And I love how Vince Russo drove that point home. Love the interview. Good job by Russo and John Coachman. And Karrion Kross and Scarlett, man. Just 2 more names that this year alone, much of the 18 to 49 demo said, "Hey, we want to see more of them." And they found their way right out of WWE. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley, folks. And by the way, oops, I don't know how they just dipped under 1 million in viewership on Friday nights. Oops, I don't know how they're about to dip under 1 million domestically for Raw and under 2 million globally for Raw. Oops, business is so bad right now. But hold on, we're about to record record revenue because we're going to jack ticket prices up even more. We're going to get another 100 million from Saudi because we're going to bring a second WrestleMania there. We're going to go to this country and this. Don't worry, we're going to make sure we get good revenue. Fans, you aren't going to get anything to actually cheer about. You're not going to get anything fun or creative or intriguing. But we still have enough fans to sit there with their wooden bowl and wooden spoon and say, "Please, sir, can we have some more?" We still have 1 million left. So you're telling me there's a chance, is what WWE is saying, that the next quarter we can announce once again record revenue. Oh, you better get it in now. Because time's a ticking on that record revenue. More and more fans are leaving by the droves, and more streaming services and cable providers that you've already screwed over, like Fox. Netflix is already furious. ESPN is already calling you out. Oh, the ships are turning. They're going the other way now with the current. And currently, people are fed up, Helmsley. Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. Superstars! Which is why they're not in WWE. Because you got to be the land of mediocrity to be in World Wrestling Entertainment. I guess that's the new deal. All right, let's switch over to Randy Orton. Randy Orton is one of those wild question marks, right? Seems like he comes back a few weeks, then he's gone for several months. It seems like there's never any momentum to his booking. His booking is actually disastrous. And you want to believe that maybe he's just way more part-time than he used to be, BC. He's rehabbing a lot of injuries. They can't use him as much. All that may be true, by the way. But just his booking is just bad, right? Anyone with a pair of eyes can see that. Anybody that uses logic and common sense knows that. And Randy Orton's wife recently, what was it, like a month or 2 ago, confirmed that. There was a fan that just showed like Randy's booking, I guess, like a bunch of losses and how, no, I think the main thing in the post was how he's left off of so many big events. And we've gotten so used to it, nobody questions it, right? They just think, oh, he's still rehabbing, or he just asked for that time off. He's just not needed. So this fan, I guess, just posted disrespect after disrespect pertaining to Randy Orton and always being left off of big shows. And his wife actually chimed in and responded, and she put, "You ain't wrong." Disrespect after disrespect, and Orton's wife said, "You ain't wrong." So what does that tell you guys? I mean, Randy Orton and his wife are probably talking shop at dinner, right, around the table. And it doesn't sound like the wife is happy over his booking. So that must mean Randy Orton isn't exactly happy over the way Helmsley is booking him. And I wouldn't be either. If I knew that you had a white lightning hot story sitting in your lap, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, teacher versus student, legacy implodes. I'd even try to get Ted DiBiase Jr. to be a part of this. Somehow, this storyline. Randy Orton just annihilates him. Right? There's so much you could do, man. Creatively, I had 100 ideas. And what did they do? They wasted Cody versus Orton back in June. I believe it was Night of Champions. And it was a face versus face matchup. So they didn't even turn Randy Orton. They didn't try to make this a storyline. They just had Orton versus Cody, friend versus friend. Orton looking up at the lights when it was all said and done. 1, 2, 3, pinfall. This is what I mean. That's what I mean. You're either this stupid at your job, like you're this bad at booking, or it's internal sabotage. Like you're purposely sinking the ship. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes wasted at Night of Champions, so we've already seen the match. There was no need for that, man. So yeah, even his wife had to finally say enough. Had to pretty much confirm what a lot of people were starting to wonder. Hey, this seems like a little bit more than just asking for time off or rehabbing an injury. This seems like this is purposely being done, that this dude's being kept off of all of these shows. When you have Randy Orton, this talent, I'm not saying he can still go like he used to. Which, by the way, yes, he can from what I've seen, so maybe I'll rephrase that. He can't go as often as he used to. Okay. But you ain't telling me that Jason Yeterman is giving you a better performance than Randy Orton even at his age. And how much mileage is on Randy Orton. I would still take Randy Orton over Jason Yeterman 10 out of 10 times. 11 out of 10 times. Randy Orton is a dude that his last singles victory on TV, you'd have to go back to July. That's 5 months ago. I believe that was over McIntyre at a Saturday night's main event, by the way. So not even like a Raw or a SmackDown. Saturday night's main event, Drew McIntyre, the poor guy, had to eat another L. So you tell me this wasn't a filler throwaway match for Helmsley? Mac, Orton, take it or leave it, I can leave both of them, is what Helmsley is thinking. Probably flipped a coin. Mac, you're going to lose. And then immediately Helmsley probably thought, damn, I got to give Randy Orton a TV victory. That's what that means. So back in July, Orton accidentally got a singles TV victory. So now you're in a situation, right? Randy Orton has a couple 2-3 years left in this wrestling thing, in the position that he is in. At best, before he walks away, 2 to 3 years. If even. But he still has so much more to give. And in a company that is lacking greatly in, quote, star power, you have Randy Orton right there, man, and you just don't want to use him. So it is clear that with Cody Rhodes having nobody to face or take that title from him, and the hottest story that you could utilize right now, you could put it in play. There's money on the table. Put it in play. Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Mania 42. Mic drop, book it. Period. Put it in play, book it. Cody versus Randy Orton. Teacher versus student. Legacy implodes. And there's so much you could do with it. And it gets the title on a heel, Randy Orton, because you're going to do it the right way this time. And I hate to say that because in Helmsley's WWE, everybody turns face or heel every single show, right? Every show there's a heel turn or a face turn to the point where now a big portion of the, quote, universe, they're just talking out of their ass now. I feel Maxine should turn heel. I think Becky should go back to face. I think in a few months you're going to see Stephanie V turn heel. I think Gunther should just go full face. I think once Ludwig is done being the Frappuccino Cappuccino Grande, he's going to go face. I think Rusev should just go complete face. Mello should go back to heel, but then next month go face. That's what we're doing now. No joke, right? I mean, it sounds asinine, right? It sounds foolish. Absolutely, it does, because it is. But that's how fans have been conditioned. Everybody should just turn. If they start to feel a little stale, we're just going to turn them. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley's Band-Aid for everything. Because he doesn't want to utilize anybody correctly. He has zero creativity. So nobody is booked properly. And that's also on purpose. So when they do become boring or stale or something's not working, instead of putting effort into it to make it work, we'll just turn them. It'll be a big news story for a day or two. And that'll cover up all of the booking botches, right? That'll cover up the rest of the show, which was completely uneventful. But there was a turn, so there's something to talk about. That's his Band-Aid for everything. He has a bunch of Band-Aids, and he just utilizes them in a non-stop vicious cycle. Brawls. Brawl, brawl, brawl. Everybody's always brawling. Face versus face matches. Heels versus heels. And turns. And titles changing hands all the time, right? Raw, SmackDown. Titles are going to change hands left and right, and we're going to get pyro afterwards. Hey, it's the only time we get pyro on a show, so I guess beggars can't be choosers. Title changes or heel turns or face turns. And brawls. That's it. That's all he utilizes. So I hate to say that Randy Orton should go heel, but he has to. Because this ain't working, man. You can't even care for this Randy Orton. And the company is making you not care about this Randy Orton. So we know his wife is pissed, which means we know he is pissed. He's got a bunch of kids. I know they're pissed. I think several of age to understand bad booking and good booking for their pops. So Orton has to go heel. Full on Viper mode. Full Viper mode. And this dude has to go legend killer status. And what I mean by that is you utilize Dusty Rhodes in this story. And you have Orton tell Cody, I'm doing this to also erase your father's legacy. You get a piece of that legend killer mixed in with that ruthless Viper. He's just not going to take Cody and Cody's title. He wants people to understand that this is Dusty Rhodes also. That he's going to RKO. He's taking the title from Dusty Rhodes as well. Again, you could put Ted DiBiase Jr. in this. Just a big payday to Ted DiBiase Jr. to come in and record one segment. You getting your ass whooped by Randy Orton. There's so much you could do with this. So much. And it's the only situation where everybody wins. It's the only story they have for Cody. Because who else is Cody going to face at 42 or to lose the belt to? Let's be honest, Seth Rollins? Already seen it how many times? How many times have we seen it? We just saw it again, a month ago? For a stupid toy title in the ring at Crown Jewel. Who else? You going to do Drew McIntyre for the 42nd time this year? Is it going to be Drew McIntyre again? This time at Mania? I know, BC, man, it would have been nice if Mac got the title. I know, WWE botched it too many times. That's not going to be fun for anybody to see Drew and Cody again. What are you going to do? Brock Lesnar versus Cody? Brock's going to somehow just miraculously show up to the blue brand. F5 Cody, and we're going to do the same thing we did a couple of years ago for the entire summer. Cody and Brock, and nobody knows why. There was never a reason, never an explanation. And we never got one, by the way. You guys know there's nobody, man. MFTs? Who's on the blue brand? I don't even know who the top heels on the blue brand are. There's none on the red brand. They're going to bring Gunther back to beat John Cena. Then they're going to shake hands, and Gunther's going to look like a face like he always does when he shook Randy Orton's hand after their match, and he shook Cody Rhodes' hand after their match, and he'll do the same thing to Cena. You have no heels on Raw either. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, they're mid-carders. We hope Braun Breaker will become a main eventer and feel it. He may be on his way, I don't know. They're start and stop booking nonstop with Braun Breaker, like everybody else. But right now, he's still a mid-carder. He doesn't make you feel like he's a main eventer. Blue brand, no better. Who do you have? MFTs, that's it. Because you've already done Drew McIntyre 100 times. So you're going to take one of the MFTs to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania to drop the title? Yeah, that's going to happen. That's what everybody's going to pay to see. You going to do Roman Reigns again? How many WrestleManias have we said? 2 already in recent years. Roman's more of a face too anyway these days. So that's face versus... It makes no sense. All you have is Randy Orton. If you turn him heel correctly, properly, and you book this with any semblance of creative, they'll do the rest. But Helmsley he just has to give a damn. He just has to do the right thing. Use common sense and logic, see where the money's at. But he's so damn stubborn and smug and petty that if he doesn't want to give Randy Orton that spot, Orton's not going to get that spot. And in return, we're not going to get that spot. We're not going to have anything fun. And you'll probably end up with Cody Rhodes versus Tama Tonga for the title at WrestleMania. No, Bleasley, it could be Tonga Loa, man. It could be Loa versus Rhodes. What was I thinking? Man, here, take the $10,000. Give me a mid-level seat. Put me in section 350. Here's my $10,000. I got to see Tonga Loa take the title from Cody Rhodes. Randy Orton, like so many others, has been miserably botched. I think Helmsley, there's always a reason why Helmsley is botching these individuals. And for Randy Orton, this is a dude that was in his own group, Evolution. And I think Randy Orton or Hunter Hearst Helmsley is pissed off that Orton is still going. No pacemaker. The physique is still there. Still taller than him. Helmsley is looking at him like, damn, how did you age like that and I aged like this? But I don't know how you look at Randy Orton and you have this dude in your roster and you somehow botch him to this extent where even his family's pissed off. His wife is like, you ain't wrong. The company is disrespecting her husband. That's what she said. You think his wife just pulled that out of her ass? You think they haven't had these discussions at the home front around the dinner table? Right? This isn't just BC just spitting off this. This isn't just an opinion or a hot take. I'm giving you guys facts. This is what his wife said. This is the match for Cody, man. It's Cody and Randy Orton, and try to salvage it because we just saw it a few months ago. Face versus face. That's what I mean. When that match was made, I'm like, why would you do this, man? There's so much money on the table if you do this correctly. And he just threw it out there knowing that this was the least impactful way to do Cody versus Randy. And he didn't even care. It was like it was internal sabotage. You want to make that world title relevant? You want to make when Cody loses that title relevant? Do you want to do it in a relevant way to make it fun for the fans? Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. Orton is the diabolical heel. The fun you could have, man. And it's a 2-night Mania. That's just should be one badass storyline and badass match. But again, it'll be one of the MFTs versus Cody, boys. Because this is Helmsley. And he wants to prove a point to his TKO buddies. I can book anything, and they're going to pay $10, $20, $100,000 a ticket. Sadly, you want to know the sad part is? There's enough geeks out there. There's enough of the universe that'll absolutely pay that amount of money. They'll cash out their credit cards. put themselves in debt. And Helmsley and TKO doesn't care. They don't care about their fans' loyalty and the respect that they give the company because they don't respect the fans. They can't stand fans. You want to know how emboldened they are? The president of TKO, Mark Shapiro, said right on camera during an interview, "We are here to maximize the dollar." What he is saying is, we're here to price people out. We don't care. He even said, Vince McMahon priced for the families. We're not here to do that. We're here to maximize the dollar. He said, we're here to rip you off. That's what he said. You want to respect him for being that honest, but it's coming from such a smug place. He's telling you we're here to rip off the fans. When the guy at the very top of the company, Nick Khan, was asked, I think this was at like Universal Studios, a fan said, the ticket prices are so high, I can't afford to go to the events. Like, can you do something about it? Nick Khan laughed at the fan. The fan no-sold it because he's like, what do you, like, that was a real concern. That wasn't a joke. Like, I want to go to the events that are coming to Florida, but I can't. That's what this fan was saying, right? He's from Florida. He wants to go to the shows. They're too high. Can you do something? You're the man in charge. Nick Khan laughed at him. And then when he realized it wasn't a joke, he goes, well, I think they're not high enough, actually. That was the answer he gave. So Nick Khan tried to make it a funny thing, right? I don't think they're high enough. In other words, I just want to get richer. I would price them even higher, but we're being told this is the cap right now. How tone deaf must you be to tell the people watching, your own consumers, we're here to maximize your dollar and take it from you. We're here to take every penny from you. How emboldened and smug must you be if you tell your fans that are concerned about high ticket prices that you don't think they're high enough because you're not getting richer fast enough? How emboldened when the guy at the top of the creative and the content is telling the fans to fuck off if they don't like what they're watching? He doesn't need you. He doesn't need your business. That's what he said. You're not even real fans. Fuck off. We don't need your business. You see what I'm saying? This is a top-to-bottom problem. It doesn't just even stop at Helmsley. It's all at TKO. They look at fans, and they look down at them. They look at them as simpletons. Geeks that'll accept everything and then stand there with a wooden bowl, wooden spoon and go, please, sir, can I have some more? And then they laugh at you. They laugh at you. Helmsley's always been that way. I always go back to that promo he cut in the middle of a ring on a Monday Night Raw, the Mark promo. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And this is real Helmsley, just putting it in a promo. And he was making fun of Mark, right? That's what he kept saying. Mark's going to be upset on the interweb machine. Mark is not going to be happy. Mark's going to stop watching the show. And he made it all a joke because there was real concerns, right? We saw the WWE product starting to go south. And that was when Vince McMahon was running the ship. Now it's clear as day that I firmly believe that Helmsley was already making a lot of calls back then. He was already being primed for this position even way back then. So I think that's why Helmsley was so pissed off. A lot of that was his, quote, creative that was making the company sink. And he went live on camera and he just started making fun of fans for their true concerns because they wanted the company to be better. And if you were wondering if that was going to change when he had to be an actual adult and put on a suit and tie, nope, same Helmsley. Same smug POS. Same doofus son-in-law. Telling the fans to fuck off, mocking them, making fun of them. That loyalty that fans show this company, it's never going to be reciprocated. Ironically, the one that everyone bashes the most in the community, Vince McMahon, was the only one to show you any loyalty back. When Mark Shapiro admitted that Vince McMahon capped his prices so that families could afford to go to the shows. And when he was pressed to raise the ticket prices, the market has changed. You can make more money, Vince, from your fans. Vince said absolutely not. And before we wrap up today's Amped Up show, a quick note on tonight's SmackDown. You guys recall just a few days ago, one of our big stories was the lack of ticket sales for tonight's event. I mean, stunningly low ticket sales. There was zero demand. To the point where WWE had to absolutely tarp off the entire cam section. In other words, they were not even up for sale. No section on the hard cam side was even available for sale. So they went to the flip side, the TV side, and those were the only tickets on the market. That way, WWE can make the arena look full on tonight's show. So the corner will be completely full. That's where the D-cam is going to be situated. And then it'll pan to the entire TV side, but that left side will be tarped off. Unless they can just give away another mass amount of tickets. Because this was just a couple of days ago, and the show is tonight. That's why this was a big story. They could not even sell out half the arena. So BC told you in that upload what was most likely going to happen is what we call a free ticket frenzy. And that's when WWE just opens up free tickets to radio stations, talk shows, local programming, and they can give away tickets. And that looks to be exactly what happened because pockets of tickets are no longer up for grabs, no longer on the market. And I'm talking sections that were complete row by row up for sale, not yet occupied. That only happens usually in a free ticket frenzy, or unless somebody is going with like 200 of their friends, and that rarely happens. But here's the kicker. The TV side is still not sold out. There's still a couple hundred seats, bare minimum, still up for grabs. And I'm not just talking resale. These are tickets that were sold and people were hoping that they could make a couple extra bucks on them by reselling them. And so many individuals don't even want them. No, thank you. That's your mistake. You bought a WWE ticket. You ain't pawning it off on us. But I'm talking upfront tickets that you can still get on Ticketmaster. That you gotta believe. This is just a few hours before the event, by the way, as of this recording. You gotta believe. If it gets too close, WWE will pull them and give them away. Because they have to make this look as full as possible. So, that's just a little update. It's exactly what we knew was gonna happen. WWE opened up a mass amount of free tickets, and they still could not pack that TV side. I expect that to somehow get situated over the next few hours. Now, along the same note, before we wrap this up, there will be zero review for SmackDown on this channel, guys. They were only able to achieve 933,000 viewers last week. They have dipped under 1 million in viewership. I have a rule on this channel. I've had this rule for the longest of times. If a pro wrestling show cannot get to 1 million viewers, there's not that type of interest in the community, then what are we getting amplified about? I may talk about certain aspects of the show, but it will not get a segment-by-segment breakdown or review. Because WWE is not an exception to the rule. Just because they have convinced themselves they're the juggernaut on the block, they're no better than anyone else. They have failed to get to 1 million in viewership. Thus, they have failed to get an amplified and honest review from the best to do it in this community, BC and the unit. Ain't it ironic? The same doofus son-in-law that told all of us throughout his career when he was a wrestler and now with a suit and tie so many times to fuck off. Now it's us telling Helmsley to fuck off. He doesn't even have a product that is worthy enough, that is good enough to get a review. But at the same time, yes, it absolutely sucks that we're not going to be talking some WWE SmackDown this weekend. Because I know the majority of you guys, whether we're ripping the show apart or not, you know that the criticism will be rooted in amplified honesty, always. So you know that you can always come to this channel to get the most reliable and honest review you're going to find. But I mean, if they can't even reach 1 million, this is a company that's been around for decades. They've been making fun of every promotion that can't get to 1 million, right? They were making fun of AEW when they just couldn't get that 1 million mark, right? Well, now Hunter S. Helmsley is under 1 million. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But there is a little bit of satisfaction to know that everything we said actually came true. This company is absolutely in the toilet. The numbers have been in the toilet. They can claim record revenue all they want. We're seeing what is happening in real time. The numbers are flying backwards. Consumer interest, engagement, fun, it's all in the toilet. And because of that, now they're not even worthy enough to get a review. Yeah, there's a satisfaction to know that they didn't listen. They remained smug, defiant, stubborn. They thought they were better than everybody else. Their shit don't stink. No matter what we do, our fans are going to be there asking for seconds. Those that don't and actually ask questions, they can fuck off. They're not even real fans. And how did that work out for you? Because now you're starting to have individuals not even want to talk about you because you're not even good enough to be talked about. Says everything you need to know. And that is your Friday, the 7th of November, 2025, amplified, amped up show. Unit until next time. And there will be that next time. Just not this weekend. BC saying check you. Unit, salute.